Good morning and happy Easter. So this morning I am going to be making a special Easter treat, and they are called resurrection rolls. So there was this man and his name was Jesus. But the thing was, he was not just a man. Jesus, the Son of God, was fully human, fully God, and he walked among us on earth. While Jesus was on earth, he did a lot of cool things. He fed the hungry, he healed the sick, he even caused demons to flee from those who were possessed. And despite all of these amazing things that Jesus did, there were some people that did not like him. And they decided, because they were afraid of him and afraid of the claims that he was the Son of God, they decided to have him killed. So Jesus suffered a horrific death, one of the most gruesome ones in history, death on a cross. And after Jesus had died, according to the customs of his day and of his people, some of his followers buried him according to those rituals. So they took his body, they anointed it with oil and with spices, and they wrapped it up in the burial cloth. And after Jesus' body was anointed with oil and spices and wrapped in the burial cloth, he was placed in a tomb. And after the body was placed in a tomb, a giant stone was placed in front of the entrance. And on the third day, Mary Magdalene, one of the women who followed Jesus, came to the tomb early in the morning before the sun itself was out. And she came to find that the stone had been rolled away and that Jesus was gone. The burial cloth that Jesus was buried in was still in the tomb, but the body was nowhere to be found. Mary was already full of grief. She didn't know what to do. So she ran to the other disciples and found Simon Peter and the disciple that Jesus loved. And she exclaimed, "Jesus is gone. Someone has taken his body." And these disciples, they thought that Mary was crazy. These words she was saying were insane. There is no way somebody could have taken the body of Jesus. So they decided the best thing for them to do was to see for themselves what Mary was talking about. So they ran. They took off running to the tomb where Jesus was buried, and they came to see the stone was gone, the tomb was empty, there was no body of Jesus. They saw and believed what Mary had told them, that Jesus' body was gone, that someone must have taken it, for they did not yet understand that Jesus had to rise from the dead, just as the scriptures foretold. Simon Peter and the other disciple decide that the only thing that they can do at this point is to just return home, because what else are they going to do? But Mary stays. Mary stays and she cries, and she ends up having an encounter. Two encounters, actually. First, she sees in the tomb two angels, and she doesn't seem fazed by it. She's not afraid. She just keeps crying. And they ask her, "Why are you crying?" And she responds, "Somebody has taken my Lord. The body of my Lord is gone, and I want to find him." And she turns around and she sees Jesus. But in that moment, she does not recognize that the man standing in front of her face to face is the risen Jesus. And she thinks, "Oh, he must be the gardener. He probably took him. I will ask him, 'Sir, if you took the body of Jesus that was in that tomb, tell me where you have put him so I can go and get him.'" And Jesus responds, calling her by name, "Mary." And suddenly, Mary realizes the man she is speaking with, the man she is looking at, is in fact Jesus. He's not missing. His body wasn't stolen. He's alive. Jesus is alive, and this is a reason to celebrate. Her weeping, her crying, her mourning turns to celebration because Jesus, the man that she had followed, that the other disciples had followed, that they thought that they had lost to death, is back. He's alive. He's there. She can see him. She can touch him. He is there. And Jesus tells her to go and share the news to his brothers, the disciples, of what she has witnessed, of the resurrection of Jesus, the return of the King, the Lord of Lords, the light of the world is back. He is back, and darkness has been defeated. So Mary goes. She finds the other disciples because they went back home, and she tells them the good news that Jesus is alive, that she has seen him, and everything that he had told her. You see, Jesus, he came to this earth to show the love of God to all of humanity. He came, he lived a perfect life, but he died a sinner's death. And he did all of this to show people what it is like to live a life that is honoring God, one that is an example of loving God and loving neighbor, loving every other person on this earth. Jesus came so that you, so that me, so that everybody in the world may experience true, perfect, eternal life with him. The tomb is empty, but Jesus is alive. He is just alive today as he was on that first Easter morning. We have reason to celebrate. Just as Mary celebrated them, then we can celebrate now. Jesus is alive.